Hey everyone, Robert here, author of Expansion Mastery, the practical guide to living a fully engaged life. Are you ready to start living your life to the fullest? Are you ready and willing to transform yourself and your life from ordinary to extraordinary, even in the face of these incredibly trying times? Then let's get to it, my friends. Welcome to the Fully Engaged Life. Welcome back to the show, everyone. In the previous couple episodes, I addressed the importance, the urgency of getting seriously involved in spiritual and mental practices, and that a window of opportunity that we have had for 7 to 10 years is closing rapidly, and it's about closed right now. But that doesn't mean we still can't progress. That just means we've had a moment in time where we were capable of achieving greater things quicker and easier than in normal conditions. So we're just going back to those normal conditions. But this doesn't mean that we cannot continue to progress. It just means that it may take a little longer and it may take more effort. And I was deeply into all of these practices for decades before this window of opportunity even opened. And I, along with many, many others, were capable of making tremendous strides in our practices. It just got really easy, and we had some incredible results, and the ability to go more deeply into these practices and then remain connected to everything around us after the practices. And now many people are beginning to realize that it's taking a little bit more effort than it did during that window. But don't give up. Trust that you can still progress if you're willing to make the effort necessary to do so. So as I have explained countless times, and I am certain you're already well aware of, we are energetic vibrational beings, right? Once we pass away, we are no longer in physical and mental form, and all that remains is this vibrating, energetic, pure conscious awareness. That is what we were before we were born, and that is what we will return to when we die. And even while we are in this physical and mental form, we're still energetic beings at our core. And this is why I teach so much about vibrational frequency. We are both biomagnetic and bioelectric beings. We have these energies within and around us, pulsing through us and emanating from us. Many of these energies, too, have to do with our health and well-being. So let's look at a few things I'm speaking of in order to help those who still may be unclear as to the reality of the human being and its connection to energy. And we're going to examine this because it is incredibly important to understand in terms of protecting our humanity on this energetic level. Okay, so if we look at things as far as our electromagnetic fields and understand these things, we know that the brain and the heart both generate their own electromagnetic fields. We also know that the heart's field is almost 60 times larger than that of the brain. Now, this is according to an article that is posted on the HeartMath Institute, and I highly recommend that you go there so you can read and study these articles for yourself. I believe it is heartmath.org, so www.heartmath.org. I'm going to offer a quote from one of the papers on the site. This is, quote, "When people touch, or are in proximity, a transference of the electromagnetic energy produced by the heart occurs. End quote. This was what the study's author has written. Now remember that. Remember this line, because we're going to come back to this in just a few minutes. So here we're dealing with specific energy fields. Electromagnetic energy, biomagnetic, bioelectric, these fields from the heart, from the brain. We understand that we have these. And then we have a greater field all around us, right? It's commonly referred to as the aura. It's just the greater electromagnetic field that surrounds the human being. So if we look at this from a few perspectives, in Taoism, they believe that we have 8 layers to this aura. They refer to them as bodies. It starts with the physical body, goes to the energetic or etheric body, and then the emotional body, mental body, psychic body, which is that of intuition and things, the causal body, which is referring to karma, the individual body, which is referring to our essence, and then the Tao body, that body that has no boundary, that connects to the farthest reaches of the universe, right? So this is how Taoism interprets these layers of our energy body, this electromagnetic field around our body. Of course, Taoist theory also has 3 energetic centers referred to as Dantian. There's the lower Dantian, the middle Dantian, and the upper Dantian. These are located around the navel, the heart and solar plexus, and then the head. And then, of course, Taoism also has energetic meridians, channels of sorts, if you will, where the energy is able to flow through our body and connect to various internal organs. And then, of course, when we look from other systems in India, Tibet, China, Japan, you name it, we have the chakras. Everybody's fairly familiar with them. But what we have to understand is a chakra is in the front and back of our body. And the energy is spiraling and pulsing in and out at the same time. And different systems focus on different numbers of chakras. There's 3, 5, 7, 9, and even 12. And sometimes some of these other chakra systems will also incorporate the energy bodies. I gave you the 8 energy bodies of Taoism. There's also another set where there are 12 layers of energy body. And this doesn't have to do with which system you decide to believe in. It's actually just a different way to look at this same thing. It's just another perspective, but it's all dealing with the same thing. So, of course, when it comes to the chakras, we have the root, the navel, the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, the third eye, and the crown. In the typical and most common, or at least most popular, theory of the chakras. And then, of course, there are secondary chakras in our palms and the soles of our feet. Even when we get into the Kuji Noho or the Kujikiri, which is very popular in Buddhism as well as many Japanese martial arts, we have 8 levels that we are working with. Whether we're making the cuts in the air or whether we are making individual mudra or hand postures, we have 8 layers here again, and these 8 layers are deeply associated with the endocrine system. So you go through basically build and strengthen the 7 chakras, and then the 8th is igniting and expanding the entire electromagnetic field or aura around us. So these are some examples of the biomagnetic fields that we have and the bioelectricity that we have in the body, creating the electromagnetic field that surrounds the human being. And we have to be very careful because there is a lot of foofiness out there regarding the idea of energy and spirituality. So the systems that I'm referring to here in some of these examples are very down to earth, and they are all things that I have trained in and worked with. Now I've been introduced to other things that I've discarded because they were just worthless fantasy. This is the part of the human being that escapes many people. Many people have a hard time comprehending the reality or willing to accept the reality. You don't have to believe in it. Accept the reality of it through an experience in order to understand that it is real. I have proven this to dozens and dozens and dozens of people over the years. So if you know me personally and you are still unsure of what this is about and you want to experience it, just contact me. We'll get together and I will make sure that you have the opportunity to experience it, as I have done a tremendous amount of energetic healing work in my years. But make sure you are ready, because a lot of people have asked me to do that. And then when they actually experience what I share with them, they kind of freak out. I'm not going to downplay that. They kind of freak out. With some, it shakes their current belief so tremendously that I've had people who stop speaking to me altogether, have nothing to do with me ever again once they experience this. So be careful what you ask for, because if you ask for it, I will make sure you get to experience it. Once in the early to mid 90s, I had a student that was working with me who had suffered severe frostbite in both of his hands when he was around 2021. He was currently around 45 or so. And I helped him by having him sit in a particular position, focus on a particular visualization, and hold his hands in a certain way. And then I put my hands around his without actually making physical contact. And within just moments, there was perspiration that started to bead up in the palms of his hands, and his hands changed color very dramatically. There was like 2 or 3, 4 other people that were in the room watching this as it occurred as well. And he was unable to make a fist previously because of the damage of the frostbite. And then he began to wiggle his fingers for the first time in over 20 years. And he could move them freely, and he could actually feel his fingers again. And he had feeling in his hands instead of a numbness or a little bit of tingling. And he was elated for a minute. For a minute. And then suddenly the reality of what he was experiencing clashed with the reality of a belief system that he had. And that didn't go over so well. That was the last time he spoke to me, and the last time I ever saw him. It's too bad. He was a very nice guy. And sometimes things that are that severe and injuries that are that old can take multiple treatments to make permanent. But I hope that wherever he is now, that he still has that sensation in his hands, and that it's allowing him to enjoy his life experience to the fullest. All right, so there's a little bit of information about the energetic nature of us as human beings. Now, let's revisit that quote from earlier. So I quote, "When people touch or are in proximity, a transference of the electromagnetic energy produced by the heart occurs." End quote. So let's take a look about what's going on and how there is basically an assault on us on an energetic level that strips us of our humanity and what we can do about it. There is a natural energetic exchange that takes place when people connect or interact face to face. This is a normal, energetic human interaction that happens whenever people come into this proximity to each other. So we can see that right now we have a couple things going on, right? We aren't allowed to be within that proximity anymore. Even in the workspace, things are all about virtual reality. And what happens is you cannot have that same connection take place when you are interacting with somebody on Skype or Zoom or whatever it is. It doesn't make any difference. It doesn't happen when you text or email either. Okay? So while those things allow us to connect on a very superficial level, there is no longer the natural energetic connection and interaction that is supposed to be taking place between human beings. Those things start to strip us of our humanity and sterilize our experience of interaction. Now, I enjoy FaceTiming with my daughters and my grandkids. And while it's far better than nothing, it can't even begin to compare with being with them in person. Being able to hug them, being able to pick up the babies, being able to play with the grandkids. It just can't compare to doing that in person. And regardless of what foofy new age spiritual silliness is out there saying, well, we're still all connected, this allows us to connect. No, we're not able to connect. We're not connecting energetically at all. We are only connected virtually. And there is no actual connection energetically from virtual reality. It keeps us separated and isolated. And I know this technology has its benefits, believe me, but we have to understand that we are missing something, and whether or not you are sensitive enough to feel it doesn't matter. It's still not there. I can feel this when I finish either Skyping or FaceTiming with my grandkids. There's something that's missing. I can feel it. It feels empty yet. It feels like it's incomplete. And I can feel my energy wanting that connection, but there's nothing there but a computer screen. It's the same way as a martial arts teacher. We always let our students know that you cannot substitute a face-to-face teacher for a YouTube video or a book or a DVD. You need the actual interaction because there are forms of transmission that are being done from teacher to student, mind to mind, heart to heart, body to body. You have to actually feel it on a physical level, an energetic level, a mental level, and there are all of these deeper forms of transmission within martial arts. And this is the way that martial arts are supposed to be passed on from teacher to student. But in today's world where we have big commercial schools with hundreds and hundreds of students, you cannot do that. Okay? I find that most teachers today don't even know that those forms of transmission exist, let alone how to actually correctly perform them. But this is just one more example of the energetic interaction that we must not allow ourselves to be stripped of. We have the right to have this sort of interaction with others, and this right cannot be allowed to be taken away because our very sense of humanity relies on it. This allows us to understand the meaning of things in spirituality, such as the phrase, we are all connected. You understand? We are all energetically connected. We are all connected. And we are connecting deeply every time we come up to speak to someone. Sit down to a meal with them, shake their hand, give them a hug, whatever it is. The closer we get, the stronger the energetic interaction and connection between us. We've also all heard the statement of we're all one. And this is looking at this form of connection on a grander scale. It means that we are all the exact same energetic, pure conscious awareness. There is no separation or division. That is an illusion created by the mind. So let's look at what is taking place these days. And I'm not telling anyone to violate any orders or whatever. You make your own decisions on all of that for your health and your well-being and your safety. However, when we stay 6 to 8 feet apart, we lessen, greatly so, or even prohibit the energetic connection that we need for healthy interaction. There are even some studies that are claiming that the heart's field can be detected in far, far longer ranges, but this has not been proven. And even if it is, we have to understand that the farther away we get from one another, the weaker the energetic connection between us. Now, let's factor in the fear. Oh, there's no shortage of that being pushed on everyone, is there? No, fear is being shoved down everyone's throat from so many different angles, and it has been for a number of years now, but it's gotten really bad this year. Fear closes the heart center, causing it to slam shut and remain shut until it feels safe again. Could this be why there is such a state of constant fear being shoved down our throats these days? I don't know. But let's look at it this way. If our heart produces an electromagnetic field, and the more open that heart center is, the stronger that field is, the more deeply we can connect with one another. And the closer we are, the greater the connection of the heart. This is why we hug one another. And this is why making love is one of the most powerful forms of connection that we can experience as human beings. And I'm not referring to having sex. I'm talking about making love. Actually having both of your hearts open and connect in a pure and powerful way that just fills you both with love. Pure love. That simply cannot happen when you are 6 or 8 feet away. And then, of course, there's the aspect of fear. You don't have any of those deep connections, deep interactions like that when your heart is closed, when it is so fearful that it is closed. And we know that nothing closes a heart center down faster, more aggressively than fear. Have distance and fear been weaponized in an assault on our humanity? I'll leave that for you to decide. We also have to acknowledge that fear weakens the energetic system, as well as physical things such as the immune system. I mean, look at these things. For many, masks promote fear. The fear that the virus is going to get them, or something's going to get them, or that they're a bad person, right? It's far more fearful than it is doing anything to make anyone feel more secure. In some countries, we've been seeing articles declaring that couples can no longer kiss or make love even in their own home. Are you starting to see the larger agenda? Are you beginning to understand why I and many others have been saying that this is a spiritual war that we are engaged in right now? It is a war on our humanity on every level. I urge you to open your eyes and take an objective look at some of the things going on. Look at the ways in which there is an attempt to destroy the family, the romantic relationship, simple social interaction necessary for healthy mental and emotional development and well-being, celebrations, and even group or spiritual interactions. It's all being prohibited. I urge you to consider why this could be happening from an energetic perspective. Put your emotions aside and just simply look at it objectively through the context of energy. And of course, we can't even get into the areas of EMF pollution and the new one that's coming out. You know what I'm talking about. Evidently now, if you actually come out and say it, your podcast will be deleted from every major social media platform out there. So think about Cinco, right? That's about the best I can do. Do you know what I'm talking about? And there are studies out there that I really recommend that you try to find if they're still available. They've been trying to scrub them, but there's been some doctors who are looking into this and seeing how this type of radiation and EMF pollution can greatly, greatly impact in the most negative of ways our energetic systems, not to mention our DNA. Is any of that true? I don't know. I'm not an expert in that area. But I think more needs to be studied before it is used to launch a worldwide surveillance system. So we must protect our energetic system. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to keep a high vibration. And I know, trust me, I know it's difficult. Like I said, it's going to take more effort right now. Here it is. We need more effort to maintain a higher vibrational frequency. You see, fear lowers our vibrational frequency. When we are not allowed to celebrate, when all of our celebrations are canceled, our vibration lowers, right? Just like when we are celebrating, our vibration rises. You getting the picture yet? Keep your vibration high. Keep that frequency as high as you can. Up there with love, joy, appreciation. Keep it as high as you can. And continue to engage in things that keeps your energetic systems healthy and strong. I also recommend having more contact. If you are fortunate enough to be in a great relationship, hug that person a little more, kiss them a little more, make love a little more, but spend that time closely to one another. If you have children in your home, spend more time giving them hugs. Stay within that 6-foot range. Get close and play, right? Help them with blocks or write their English paper or do math or whatever it is, depending on their age. Have more personal interaction. Feel that connection take place so you know beyond a shadow of a doubt what I am referring to. Do more to create that connection. It will help you, and for every little bit it helps you, it helps the others even more. Get that connection back and forth, and do not allow anyone to strip you or the ones you love of their humanity, of their energetic connection to one another. We need to have a strong, energetic connection with every interaction in order to live a fully engaged life. Please make sure to visit me at www.expansionmastery.com. Go there and get your autographed copy of Expansion Mastery, as well as all the other goodies that are available to you on the site. And make sure to share this podcast as well as others. Get this information out there so it can help people you know and care about. And please do all of that social media stuff, subscribe, like, so on and so forth. Until next time, my friends, I wish you the very best in your practices, your interactions, and your life. Take care.